So it is the last half hour of the show. So we've got that news involving Atlanta United on the table. The news that was broken yesterday, or the reports that were laid out yesterday from our buddy Niko Moreno about what could be happening in San Diego. Let's go ahead and bring the man in, and we can discuss what's going on in San Diego and all points in between. So, Niko, as always, great to see you, sir. And we have had it's been a busy couple days, really, where Atlanta United is concerned. It looks like that Miggy is close to returning. The prodigal son returns, and I imagine that for the first home match for Atlanta United, they're just going to go ahead and open up the room. They're going to open up the building and just go, everybody come on in. That's going to be crazy. And it looks like, according to Tom Bogert and Ben Jacobs over at Gimme Sport, that right now they've reached a verbal agreement with Middlesbrough on Emmanuel Latte-Lath in the neighborhood of 20 million US. So Atlanta United very busy. But what I wanted to start with you is what you talked about yesterday in your reporting about Raúl Ruidíaz, and we had our buddy Nino Torres on before you to discuss the Peruvian angle in all of this. But you have San Diego now, Tyler Heaps dialing up Raúl Ruidíaz and his reps on the phone. What happened there?
Yeah, well, first of all, always good to be here. Cup number one of coffee. That lets you know that I'm a little bit behind today. I was trying to get nice and pretty, did not look at the time, and here we are now.
Stop
failed
it.
on the pretty, failed on the time, but ready, ready to be on, ready to hop on. Yeah, the Raúl Ruidíaz thing I've been working on for about a week. It is something that I was trying to confirm. I wanted to make sure that it was indeed reliable sources, and they are. This is definitely one of the many options that Raúl Ruidíaz is taking in. He was very adamant about wanting to take some time off, wanted to break, wanted to disconnect, didn't want to hear offers, wanted to go to Peru, enjoy his family, enjoy his time, and then when it was due time, take the options that were out there. I am told that San Diego FC is one of two contenders for a landing spot to Raúl Ruidíaz. He's clearly prioritizing MLS, as I've been saying since last year, forever and ever. There's also a possibility in Mexico. So he's, taking it very serious about where he wants to go for the right reasons, that it matches his home life, that, if his family is going to be okay with probably a lot of traveling, since he hasn't really left the area of Seattle just yet. So it's going to be a real difficult decision, but the interest is out there. And if you really think about it, he would fit in San Diego. Why not bring in an experienced striker that can help you win, that would be willing to come in a rotational role that, again, I think every single expansion team that we've seen has had some sort of veteran leader out there for those attacking positions, and he can definitely provide that. He's been staying very fit, making sure that his body is right. So whatever club does decide to take a chance on Raúl Ruidíaz will not be disappointed on his form and conditioning going into 2025.
All right. And so with obviously our focus has been on Atlanta United and how busy Chris and Garth have been in trying.
And I should have had that, by the way. I mean, Bogert literally beat me on the Migate thing by the slightest margin. I was trying to get everything he put out at the end. But props to him. That's why he does what he does. But I had the day before. Source number one, which I always like to have two. This is a really good source, but still I wanted to make sure to get a second one before I threw it out there. I wanted a little bit more details, but source number one was like, this has Garth written all over it. I mean, if you think about it, if you dissect it, bringing Miggy to Atlanta is a Garth move if there's one. Not to mention Chris Henderson, obviously the guy that I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the Sounders, when they brought Nicolas Adero, Chris Henderson always doing a fantastic job with his brother Sean Henderson. They had the option: Miguel Almiron, Nicolas Lodero, Sebastian Blanco. Those were the three options that they were looking at. Seattle ended up going with Niko. Did not miss there, obviously for different reasons, right? They knew that Miggy was a guy that was gonna hit hard and bounce to Europe, and they knew that Niko was gonna create a legacy, be a pillar to your franchise. So Chris Henderson very happily was looking at Miguel Almiron, because it's a full-on circle of when he came into the league, and now he's bringing him back into the league.
And this has been one of the craziest weeks just with information and folks going places. I know that with the beginning of training camp, you can sit there and make the connections here. But I have here in my hand a list of everything. And so let's see, today being the 16th. So if we go back, just say 2 days, let's go back 2 days. Eric Williamson traded to Charlotte from Portland for $100,000 in GAM, $250,000 conditional GAM, and a sell-on percentage. Matthias Jorgensen signs with LAG in a transfer from Anderlecht. Kyle Raúl comes from a 2-year deal from Hearts, which includes a 27 option. Nashville signs Chris Applewhite. They finally signed yet another homegrown. Jesper Sorensen signs a contract to be the new head coach in Vancouver. And I do want to talk about the Vancouver ownership situation with you because we promised that last week. Nokvi Thoresen signs on a transfer to All Caps from Sparta Rotterdam. Tadeo Agende, a 1-year contract with Messi and friends on loan from Celta de Vigo through 25. Teo Corbianu signs a 1-year deal on loan to TFC from Granada through 25. Eric Dueñas signs a 1-year deal with Houston. We know him from being an original at LAFC. That includes options 26, 7, and 8. Alejandro Alvarado, a 2-year deal with San Diego, transfer from FC Vizela, which includes options for 27 and 8. Leonardo Barroso, 4-year deal with Chicago via U22, via transfers from Sporting, with including an option for 29. Randall Leao claimed off waivers by DC United from Nashville. Wyatt Omsberg to the Revs. Thiago Andrade signed by transfer from Toronto from Chizero Osaka. Thiago Holm to LAFC. Joseph to San Jose. Oni Vadakari to San Diego. Mason Toy to Sporting Kansas City. Todd Bryan Anunga to FC Cincinnati. Lucho Acosta, Luca Orejano, not interested anymore. Maxi Morales signs with NYFC. Kobe Henry signs with RSL. Sam Rogers to Chicago. Jason Palacios to Nashville. Areola and Pep BL. Good Lord, man, what's going on in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, it's been craziness, right? I mean, I think my favorite so far has been in down south from us here with San Jose. They've been the surprise team for me. I thought that Chicho Arango was great business. I think that they pounced on an opportunity that Kerr Smith said did not take him by surprise, that it was Christian Arango who approached RSL and said he wanted a fresh start. And that's what apparently seemed to happen there. So Bruce Arena definitely like his proven attackers. And in Christian, that's what you get. And Chicho, if anything, has shown you that on his first year, that's when he punts you hard, and he punts you twice. So it's going to be a good setup down there. I like the Joseph Martinez move. They already have some pieces there in Espinosa and Hernandez. I mean, I'm looking at San Jose, and once they really tighten up a few things on the defensive end, I think that's going to be an interesting one. But look, between the new rules, between some of the dynamics that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, I appreciate the fact that everyone's trying to just get ready to battle. And I understand that the sense of equity and balance and parity tends to, at times, especially in today's MLS, be more of a mirage, because if you have the cash, if you have the money, you do have a bit of an edge, and you could tell by some of the top teams in the league, they're putting in the most money. But all of these new rules, and if you're able to use your resources correctly, it gives you a fighting chance. It gives you an opportunity to surprise some people, the way the Sounders did last season by getting as far as they did. So it's going to be, to me, exciting how this continues to develop and how some of these new cash options within the league work out, and how some trades with DPs could happen, and what does happen with Lucho Acosta, and what does happen with Evander. I mean, there's just a lot of situations that, man, it's a great time to follow MLS.
Yeah.
Now, you got to be familiar, otherwise you're going to be completely lost. But if you are a follower of MLS, it's been fun.
No doubt. And you're seeing other names being linked in. You're seeing Wilf Zaha now being linked to a move to Charlotte. You're seeing Neymar being linked to MLS clubs. Neymar is getting paid the proverbial ish-ton of money to be playing in the Saudi league.
That's one I don't love. That's one that I'm not. That's one I don't love. It just seems like. And look, I've never been in for bringing in players like that, and obviously Leo Messi being the exception. But if you even compare Messi's and Suarez's minutes and productivity over the couple of years prior to moving to MLS, it makes sense. But you look at Neymar, man, and he hasn't had 1,000-minute season for, I think, 3, if not 4 seasons. So it's one that I don't love. I understand that it's tempting, and he tends to be one that's going to put butts in the seats and fans in the stands. But when it comes to soccer, man, I'm just not sold on it.
Yeah, and right now the one named team is Chicago. And Chicago needs to put butts in seats in the spaceship. They really do. Because when you watch games involving the Chicago Fire, you got a lot of empty seats masquerading as season ticket holders. I mean, it is at times it can be a hard watch, and that's why you'll see a lot of tight shots involving Chicago home matches, because of the lack of folks that are there. There were 2 other clubs that are allegedly linked to conversations with Neymar's agent, parenthesis, his dad, close parenthesis. And I'm intrigued. I don't, and yeah, look, you said it. It's a fun time to be following Major League Soccer. You have clubs who are not afraid to invest. And we're also going to be learning, okay, there's a difference between investing wisely and investing for the sake of just throwing money at a problem. And I think that will be what I think the next stage here in Major League Soccer is. Who is investing to invest long term? Who is investing wisely? And who is investing to throw money at a problem? That, I think, will be something to monitor going forward when it comes to this season, who comes in, how they fit, how they don't fit, and what we're staring at in the 25 year.
Especially for me, the team that I'm looking at in that sense to figure out what category I'm going to put them on tends to be Austin. Look, I'm going to be frank with you. I'm going to be frank with your audience. I am not a fan of Rodolfo. I think that he is an impulsive and overbearing sort of GM that wants to be the protagonist, and the whole DeRussi situation. And before that, we can go on and on about the swings and misses they've had at DPs. They're really doing a disservice to one of the most fun and creative and supportive fan bases in MLS. The stadium is great. I love that Verde. I mean, everything about Verde. I love everything about Austin except for the front office. And look, I love Matthew McConaughey in all the movies or whatever, but obviously that soccer is not what he is known for. So I'm going to blame the soccer heads and not necessarily the ownership there, because obviously if you're going to go pay 10 for Vasquez, the money's coming in. So that's not the issue, but it's the lack of an idea and a roster build that has been missing for 3 years. Me and you have discussed coaches. Me and you have discussed moves, or either lack thereof or wrong moves. So Austin is one team that I feel like they don't have the wallet that maybe Atlanta and Miami do, but they have a decent budget and they just haven't used it correctly. Chicago for me is another one because they've been another disappointment for so long, so long. One of the originals, one of the teams that, man, I love the city of Chicago, but you could tell that the Fire, it's like the stepchild that no one really cares about in that city. I mean, I would go to a gift shop and maybe there might be a couple of keychains, but there's nothing. I mean, there's Cubs, there's White Sox, there's Bull stuff. I mean, whatever you want, but Chicago Fire is just not a thing in Chicago, in their own city, and that is a result of also a bad managing of money and a lack of a real good soccer module and an identity and a academy system. So many things are wrong in Chicago. So those are the two, to me, that if we go one West Coast team, one East Coast team, those are the ones that I'm going to be looking at.
You mentioned Austin. Austin looks like it is going to be River and Driussi and not Estudiantes and Driussi. Estudiantes at points look like they might come to the table with more money, a little bit more, but Driussi wants to go to River. Right now it looks like Driussi and River and the deal for about $10 million. And so then this morning it's reported that Austin has agreed to a deal to sign Mirto Uzuni from Granada, an Albanian international forward. Austin is going to trigger the 12 million euro release clause. The deal isn't done. This is from the last hour, pending final details in a medical. Third new club record transfer in the last 6 months for Austin. So Austin stepping up to the table when it comes to trying to bring in players. You bring in Vasquez, you might be bringing in the Albanian striker from Granada, then the other DP that you signed as well. So not afraid to spend money. I still wish the stadium was bigger. It's such a small stadium that
I agree.
That can't be expanded, and I think that's going to hamstring the revenue from Austin FC. But to your point, I like Chicago. I like the idea of looking at Chicago, spending money to just spend money to try and solve a problem. I'm intrigued by everybody else so far. Seattle. I wanted to break down this discussion with you about Seattle. The latest from the time that you've been able to spend and talk to folks, and Areola coming in. I know that there was a discussion on your timeline about formations and how things may look one way or the other. What are you anticipating now that training camp is up and running with Seattle, and what you're seeing from everybody who's now in place and who's left over from last year?
Yeah, look, big report of week one of Sounders training has been positive. I said it right off the bat. My impression right now is that the team is in high spirits. You could tell the positivity from the big smile in Brian's face as soon as he faced the first round of questions at the press conference. He's excited about this team. Paul Arriola, it's a player that, look, I didn't really know if he was a necessity for this club, but man, is he just a good dude. I mean, he's just as likable as it gets. And when it comes to the eye test, immediately passed it. I did not expect anything less from a player that has 50 caps with the U.S. men's national team, that has been on a ton of teams, that has played in Mexico. So he's one of those guys that he looks sharp. He looks like he's playing at a different speed. And that's good right off the bat, because you have a player that barely needs a preseason to be, if not at his top level, at a good level of his performance and potential. So he's been outstanding. He's been playing as a wingback, mainly on the right side. Did see him play on the left side yesterday. Obviously not as sharp, with not his favorite foot, if you will, but has the ability to cut inside. Had a beautiful banger on the right side after a pass from Danny Leyva. So he's exciting. He's passed the eye test. Again, I wasn't in love with the move, but he is growing on me extremely quickly. 3 days. I have been there from the start of practice to the end of practice, and he gets my check mark for I get it. A couple of standouts. Georgie Manungu, the young guy that was so exciting last season. Looked like that man has been working on his finishing. Back-to-back goals in scrimmage a couple of days ago. Uh, just looks goal dangerous, extremely fit, low body mass, and a lot of muscle, which seems to be a trending topic because João Pablo looks 5 years younger. I mean, the guy, he says it's because he trimmed the beard, but it's not that, baby. There's not that much weight on your beard. He looks good. He looks quick. The verticality, the horizontal movement, I see those hips shifting. That had been an issue for him. He talked to us and was very frank about how slow his rehab process was and how he didn't really have a chance to get back to top form. He looks good though, looks top form. Probably the best preseason condition I've seen from JP since his MVP season or finalist MVP in MLS. So those things are very interesting. Josh Atencio at center back. You talked about formations. There's been a whole lot of three in the back. When it comes to scrimmages, when it comes to just short-sighted games, no doubt there's a point of emphasis. Not saying that's what the team is going to go and start with in 2025, because I feel like the default formation is still 4-2-3-1. In my opinion, is the formation that gets the most talented players on the field at one time. But it's interesting to see them work so much in this three-man formation. Obed, the game has really slowed down for this young man. You can tell that he is seeing the game at a different speed, the way he cuts, the way he gets out of pressure, his ability to break lines with the ball. He has not lost a beat, was exactly my tweet on Obed Vargas. Looks fantastic. So all in all, Seattle's interesting. The only bad moment so far is Jackson Ragen talking to us yesterday, extremely disappointed that he's not going to get to go and be in the January camp for Pochettino. I understand he's been working so hard for this opportunity, but honestly, I blame U.S. Soccer, John. I blame U.S. Soccer. This is not the first time that is all or nothing. Look, it's January camp, man. I mean, see the guy. As far as we know, so far, Jeremiah Shen reported first. We confirmed later. As a club, the Sounders told U.S. Soccer, yes, you can have Jackson Ragen. He can go work with you. We just need him back by the 19th. The team travels to Spain this Saturday to Marbella. They play CONCACAF Cup in Guatemala, like the 20-something of this month. So they need their team ready. They need their starting center back to figure out whether they're going to play three in the back in that one, two. What's going to be the formation, right? I mean, four in the back. I mean, is there going to be two center backs? Is there going to have to be some chemistry things that he's got to figure out? For one. For two, the injury bug, right? We've already heard about Ferreira being released by U.S. men's national team because of a fitness issue. So, those are the things that in the past, Jackson has got injuries in this sort of camp. So those are the things that make teams apprehensive. But again, I blame U.S. Soccer because they had every sense to say, hey, we got one of the best American center backs in MLS coming to camp. Let's check him out for 18 or a couple of weeks, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to send them back, or let's work with the Seattle Sounders. But when U.S. Soccer and MLS are not working together and it's more of a power struggle, that's when I blame the U.S. Soccer Federation, because you're supposed to be the one that wants the best for the soccer in your country and in your federation, and this is not helping out anyone. So I understand the frustration by Jackson Ragen. We don't know if he's upset at the club or at the federation. All he said was, I came out disappointed that I was told I was going to go and then I wasn't able to go. But then he said, I'm not taking any more questions on it. I want to talk about it. So we didn't pry him on it. Maybe in the future, we'll get a little bit more insight on the situation. But that's probably the only negative out of 3 days that I've been at Providence and Swedish Performance Center and Clubhouse.
Yes, the Providence and Swedish Clubhouse. So yeah, we'll just call it the Providence and Swedish Clubhouse going forward. I like that. One other thing before you get out of here, before on my list, and whatever else is on your list before we go, I wanted to discuss. We mentioned Jesper Sorensen is the new head coach for Vancouver Whitecaps, and there's a for sale sign on Vancouver's front lawn right now, because the family that is the main owner is concerned about estate taxes down the line for a franchise that they have invested in, and they have invested well considering what they did when they paid and what it's worth now and what Vancouver has done as a franchise. When it comes to the time that I spend, and this is full disclosure, I spend time as a talking head on Canadian programming occasionally. There is a direct concern among the Canadians on the shows that I'm on up there that Vancouver will not exist as the Whitecaps, and it will not be a home for a Major League Soccer franchise when the new owners come in, whomever they are, after a couple of years and being displeased with BC Place. What is your look at the Vancouver situation as they now have a coach, but they're looking for somebody else to be the new owners?
Yeah, it's sad because the uncertainty of this team is not unfounded. And I believe that there are markets where a new ownership could say it is more profitable to move this team X or Y or Z. And that makes the probability that a fan base that has been as patient as any, that has been year after year been disappointed, even when the team has looked like they could make a run, whether it's at an international tournament or the domestic or the Canadian Championship. So it's just one of those situations where I get it. Just the Jasper Sorensen's contract, that's 2 years, was odd to me. You're bringing in a guy, it's a 2-year contract. I don't understand. How can there be 3? Do you not trust this guy? Do you think that it's maybe just like a learning type of situation? We'll figure it out. Or are you thinking, look, in a couple of years, we don't even know we're going to be here. So it's going to be fire sale elsewhere. I mean, I don't know. Just everything about this situation, the coaching, the information that we know about the reason of the sale just gives me the feeling that Vancouver Whitecaps or Whitecaps in Vancouver is at risk. And I feel for that fan base because they do show up and they have a team that, to me, could win now. They have a good roster, but they've never been able to really put it together. So whether it's I didn't understand the Vinny Sartini firing either way. So let's start there. And that's exactly what makes me believe that there's something behind the scenes that we're kind of reading in between the lines. And by the time that we realize what it is, it might be that Vancouver is no longer going to be a host city for MLS.
Yeah, and obviously we'll keep an eye on that going forward. But yeah, your point about only a 2-year deal for Sorensen being the new head coach, getting Vanni Sartini, who really needed to be protected at all costs because of how beloved he was as a coach in Vancouver, and the situations surrounding his dismissal or disagreement or not coming to however you want to classify it. It's just there's a lot here that doesn't quite add up. And trying to figure out, okay, where are things here? I think you might be onto something. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. What else is on your rundown of topics before we let you go and have breakfast and get you ready for the rest of your Thursday out on the West Coast?
Nope, excited for the Sounders to go to Marbella, talk to the whole squad, and everyone is excited to, play European competition, to be out of the country, to have the camaraderie that can be so important for a group. I thought it was interesting that Stephen Fry, a player that has been impressive in these first 3 days, by the way, at his age, it seems like he's really working on that explosiveness, that reaction time, those ability to manage high balls. I mean, everything that makes a goalkeeper has looked fantastic. But as a captain for the second year, that was my question to him, and he's like, did you learn anything? What is it that maybe you're taking into this year? And I love the fact that he said, look, I wanted to do a lot of things. It was my first year as a captain. So I went through the right channels, asking for permission to take my guys out, to do things. This year, I might just do it. I might just do things, ask for forgiveness later. I mean, I thought it was really cool that he's embodying that captain role, because it is something that Seattle needs more of. So that's one of the things that was interesting for me. Additionally, Seattle has some really interesting young guys. So I did not want to leave your show without naming some. Stu Hawkins, man, that kid looks like the real deal. Very young, very promising. He's a guy that, look, I forget the name of the kid that in DC United ended up being sold to, I think it was Dortmund or a German team for a lot of money. I think that Stu Hawkins has that same profile, if not better. He's so good on the ball, man. I mean, he gets forward with such ease. He glides on the ball. His IQ is high, not afraid to put his body. He needs to, maybe hit that protein, the little bit of get some ribeye on his diet, get a little muscle. But other than that, man, the kid looks really, really good. Leo Burnley is a guy that was also brought in. He is big, he's strong, he looks the part. So Seattle is always doing the right things to keep that co-stellar group together. And they might not have had the splashy signings this season, but I think this is going to be a group that's going to be interesting. I am more excited and I have more high hopes of this specific roster than I had of the 2024 roster in that preseason camp. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be interesting. And we'll see what happens here on out when it comes to Raúl Ruidíaz. I'm going to be on the ball. Atlanta, I mean, you guys, again, I want you all to know that I literally said that when we talked about Tekashi, there's going to be a lot of money in two players, right? You already know the two players now. Now, does it get through the line? Does it push up? I'm excited for Atlanta United this season. I think they're going to have a really good year. So, hey, just thank you for having me on. We are not going to be doing soccer bar. We might not be doing it at all because one of our guys is actually leaving the country for a better opportunity, and I'm happy for him. So now I'm going to be looking for a new venture. We're going to be doing something with Jeremiah Oshan, I think, on a weekly basis through Sounder Hard a podcast. So check that out. We're really going to be getting together with him this Friday to iron some things out. But I'm excited. Always good to have that podcast with Jeremiah Oshan. He's fantastic. So if you don't follow him, make sure that you follow him now. And thanks, man. Obviously, I'm going to be on SDH all year long, baby, right here, trying to bring it to you. I wanted to hold off that Raúl Ruidíaz for you, and I had just lost Miguel. I want you to know that. I'm going to go ahead and say I was going to hold the Raúl Ruidíaz, but I lost the Miguel for not shooting quick enough, so I just went and put that out there. But I'm going to get you one. I'm going to get you one.
Well, you've always got a home here, brother. It doesn't just have to be on Thursdays. If there is ever anything on your mind, sir, you know that you have golden ticket. You can drop in anytime you want. And it's like, bruh, I got something I got to talk about. And then we'll hit the sirens and we'll find, I'm looking forward to the report from Marbella. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Spain behind you next week when you're talking about everything at training camp. But no, seriously, with everything going on out there on the West Coast, you got a home. You've got a home. So just come on in whenever. We know that this is the main time that we want to catch up with you on a weekly basis. But if there's,
I'm going to use that. That's important. I'm gonna hit you up, say, hey, let's drop this now. I like that.
Dude, that's what we are here for. It is all about making sure that La Familia has the platform where we can discuss things. And if it's not just Providence and Swedish Clubhouse, anything else on your mind, you've got a home, and it's always here for you, my friend. You know that.
Appreciate it, John. Thank you as always. Thank you to your fan base. Let's have a good 2025. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'm gonna enjoy my coffee. Thank you, John.